Tonight's meeting to order. If you would, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Sue, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs.
I'm here today.
Alderman Fahey.
Here.
Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Newey.
Here.
Alderman Eidman.
Here.
Alderman Steiger.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Ross.
Here.
And there we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will look for approval of tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. First up tonight, we do have a small presentation. Don Prichard's here joining us tonight, and we'd like to recognize him. It's my honor this evening to recognize someone whose voice has become a familiar and trusted part of life in St. Genevieve and throughout our region, Don Prichard. For many years, Don has done far more than report the news. He has told the stories of our community, celebrated our successes, shared our challenges, and helped keep our citizens informed about the events that shape our daily lives. Throughout his work in local radio and journalism, he has become a respected source of information and a true ambassador for St. Genevieve. Many of us also know Don as the voice behind countless local commercials, promoting our businesses, organizations, community events, and the city of St. Genevieve itself. His unmistakable voice has invited visitors to discover all that our historic community has to offer, while reminding those of us who call it home just how special this place truly is. In many ways, Don hasn't simply reported on St. Genevieve. He has helped promote it, celebrate it, and share its story with audiences throughout the region. The impact of his work extends well beyond the microphone. Don has helped strengthen the sense of community that makes St. Genevieve such a special place to call home. His efforts have ensured that the stories of our city and its people are remembered and shared. On behalf of the city of St. Genevieve, I want to express our sincere appreciation for Don's many years of dedicated service, his commitment to excellence, his passion for local journalism, and his unwavering support for our community have left a lasting legacy that will be remembered for years to come. Don, thank you for being a trusted voice, a dedicated journalist, and a true friend of our community. Your work has informed us, connected us, and reminded us of the importance of local news and local storytelling. Please join me in congratulating and thanking Don Prichard for his outstanding service to our community.
I recognize who you were talking about.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Hold on, we're gonna get one more.
Oh, we got one more.
Official
Archives.
I'll go all the way around.
You better. My mailbox, hopefully it's a kid.
I don't know if I do. Okay. Like knock it down first?
No.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else has to do that. Yeah, the long exposure.
Like a halo.
Yeah, it looks like a halo with Joe's glare over there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
I used to work for you, brother.
Congratulations. Yeah, I knew we wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be. Okay.
All right.
Out the door. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it, and ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Don.
Wonderful. I don't know if you really know that you're appreciated until you leave. I'm not moving. I'm staying home.
The door's always
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sure Linda has things for me to do. You know how that goes.
She probably deserves that. She probably deserves a lot of that award right there too.
I'll help you out, though. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to set up any alarms. I don't want you to set up any alarms.
All right. Always love starting out a meeting that way. And then next up tonight, we do have State Representative Bryant Wolfin here to give us a legislative update. One after the next, right?
Yeah. Hate to follow up Don
Yeah, right.
with the positive and going into the negatives. So. All right. Well, thanks for having me. So this was kind of talked about between myself and Mr. Bova for a while now, and then I think it took Mr. Donovan to reach out to me to finally kind of make things happen. So my apologies, it kind of took so long to get here. Hopefully in the future we can make it a little bit closer to the end of session. So what I'm going to do is the list here that I have, we're just going to go over bills that kind of affect municipalities in general, and particularly those that, admittedly, Dave kind of helped me that were create the list that I'm going to present to you tonight. The things that were on his watch list, and then things that did pass that will be affecting municipalities in general. So I'm going to start off with some legislation that may have not, or this legislation did not make it to the governor's desk, but it did gain some traction, and it is something that will likely come up in the next legislative session, or if not, a couple down the line. So to start off was Senate Bill 1065. So Senate Bill 1065 was basically utilities relocation, mainly having to do with like AT&T, Charter, telecommunications, and things along those lines. And so what the bill did was changes who pays when telecommunications, broadband, cable, or video service facilities, when they're forced to relocate for road maintenance or construction in cities, towns, villages, counties, or even MoDOT, which normally would be reimbursed by municipalities and things along those lines. Well, this bill is trying to kind of shift that burden from, it would normally be reimbursed by the company, currently. This is trying to shift that burden to the municipalities. So if you have a construction job that were to come afoot and Charter would have to move a line, the city would be on basically responsible for those construction costs for moving those lines. So essentially, it's going to create a new direct expense that must include, that must be included in the municipal street and road project budgets. So that's going to increase any construction plan that requires utilities to be relocated, even private, requires the city to notify affected providers within 90 days after a project is placed on its schedule. It does not require reimbursement for facilities placed, facilities meaning the lines. When I say facilities, that's what the term is being used. Placed in the right-of-way in violation of state or local permitting requirements, and applies primarily to telecommunications, broadband, cable, video providers, like I said. So yeah, essentially, if this did not pass, but we voted on it twice, both years, once in the House, and then this, so in my first year in 2025, we passed it through the House, and the Senate passed it through the Senate in 2026. So I would likely see that coming down the pipeline again next year. So it should be on the radars. Reach out to your local representatives if you have any issues. It's a joke. Senate Bill 1586. So this has...
That one's being pushed by telecom and the utility.
100%. Yep. That was a very heavily lobbied bill, to say the least. So I remember when that bill was coming to the floor in the House, sometimes you get called out from your desk, and this lobbyist will all be kind of on the third floor in the rotunda area, and then security comes and grabs us, and yeah, it was being pulled left and right on that bill for sure. So Senate Bill 1586 is the next one. So this has to deal with solid waste management. This was very heavily debated and talked about bill. There was traction for both the House bill and the Senate version. I brought the Senate version here because it got a little bit more traction than the House. And so I'm going to go through how it was introduced, which is what I'm concerned will come back, to how it was perfected in the Senate. But the introduced version is really would be drastic changes for solid waste management districts in the entire state. So as it was introduced, the original bill would dissolve all solid waste managements across the entire state, all gone. And then they would transfer the oversight for the existing grants for these waste management system, or solid waste management, to the Department of Natural Resources. So everything goes away locally, and it all gets shifted to the state level. And it would be replaced by a regional grant process with grants awarded directly by the DNR, or by Department of Natural Resources. And it would have, like I said, eliminated the district councils, executive boards, and much of the regional planning structure as it is. This was something that it was really cool to see, because you kind of seen this grassroots effort from the RPCs around the state, or regional planning commissions across the state, really come to the Capitol, talk to a bunch of different leadership and legislators, and it really slowed down the process, which is good. But this also, it was so negatively talked about by constituents that they had to basically change it, which is where the perfected version came in. So the perfected version removes the proposed dissolution that spoke of, and preserves the regional district structure, the district planning, and the district grant process, but it instead reduces the portion of the solid waste management fund revenue allocated to the districts from 61% down to 51%, while directing 10% to the DNR for assessment, investigation, testing, remediation, and management of the abandoned disposal site. And this has to deal with a lot of landfills that are becoming really bad across the state. I think one particularly in Franklin County was the main reason why this bill was brought to. The senator from Franklin County and then the House rep from one of the House reps from Franklin County were the ones that ran with this, were trying to pass this bill. So my concern, I don't think the perfected version is terrible, but my concern is if it comes back, it becomes its introduced version, which would dissolve the waste management system. And I think that would be detrimental for local governments across the state. So once again, did not pass this year, but something to look out for. House Bill 3230. So this has to deal with zoning for modular and manufactured homes. Essentially, this will limit how local governments can regulate modular homes and qualified manufactured homes. A qualifying manufactured home generally must be no more than 5 years old when installed, contain at least 900 square feet, and must be at least 20 feet wide or 2 stories tall, and be placed on a permanent foundation, meet federal construction standards. So what this bill, it's going to basically create for municipal restrictions is that a city could not ban qualifying modular or manufactured homes in residential zones, whether it's a single family home or where single family homes are allowed. A city could not impose stricter lot sizes, setbacks, appearance, foundation, age, permits, anything along those lines. And the city could not reasonably restrict replacement of an existing manufactured home. So essentially, it's taken a lot of the local government control and aspect out of it. And, you know, obviously a lot of these are well-intended things, but you see this often at the state level where we have a pretty good grip on a lot of our municipalities. A lot of these like preemption laws, as I like to call them, are kind of going after your bigger cities that may be a little bit more strenuous on things like this. And so it's trying to punish local governments as a whole. So once again, I didn't gain a whole lot of traction this year, but I do see this coming up again in the future. The next bill is Senate Bill 916. Now we're going to start getting into the legislation that has passed and went to the governor's desk, which at this point he has signed all of these. Senate Bill 916 has to do with sovereign immunity and liability insurance. Primarily, this has to do with MoDOT, but there are some things that could funnel down the pipeline to municipalities. Primarily, it changes liability rules for private contractors, subcontractors, engineers, and employees working as agents of MoDOT. During the specified periods before construction begins and after MoDOT accepts a completed work, MoDOT would be solely liable for certain personal injury or death claims arising from the project. The contractor exceptions. The protection does not apply when work creates an imminent danger, a defect was concealed, the contractor knowingly failed to disclose a dangerous condition, or the plans were so improper that the contractor should have recognized unsafe result. How this is going to affect municipalities, as I said, most of the provisions apply directly with MoDOT's project. They should have little direct effect on municipalities, but the municipal provision clarifies that the political subdivision purchases liability insurance only when its governing body directly obtains coverage. Requiring a contractor or another party to name the city as an additional insured is not itself treated as a city purchasing insurance. All right. And then moving on to House Bill 1871. So this has to do with elections, and municipal elections were in this bill. And so it does make a lot of numerous changes to the state and local laws, but municipality-wise, it includes municipal candidate filing, changes, election notices, bond elections, polling place rules, provisional voting, voter eligibility, and campaign finance practices. So the most relevant changes would be candidate filing. When no different deadline is set by law or charter, the filing opens the 16th Tuesday before the election and closes the 13th Tuesday, which is 1 week later than current law. Election notices, both required publications, may occur within 6 weeks before the election. Election authorities may mail notices to active voters instead of publishing twice, but must still publish once in a county newspaper. Bond elections, if no contest is filed within 30 days of the official result, state election law requirements are deemed satisfied for the purposes of issuing the bond. Polling locations, this will be a big one for electioneering. Election authorities may, after public notice, expand most electioneering and petitioning restrictions from 25 to 50 feet. So, and the rules also apply at in-person absentee voting buildings. Excuse me. Provisional ballots, provisional voting procedures would apply to every public election, including municipal elections. And there's some lobbyist language in there as well that says a registered lobbyist may contain a committee for municipal office as long as the person is not registered to lobby for that municipality. So if Mr. Prince wants to become a lobbyist, he's more than welcome to do so. It's House Bill 2641. So this has to deal with intoxicating hemp and cannabis. This created the Intoxicating Cannabinoid Control Act. It covers hemp-derived cannabinoid products that would be treated as marijuana, and their production, testing, transportation, and retail sale would generally be limited to entities licensed throughout Missouri's constitutional marijuana program. I don't know if this is going to be an issue here in town, but generally what this is going to do is if you have a hemp product facility that's selling hemp product here in the city, I don't know if you guys do or not, but if they are not licensed with the state, all hemp-derived products have to be sold from someone who is licensed. So I'll give you an example down, oh shoot, I forget where they're at, my apologies, but I'll just go down my list so I don't get out of tone here. Generally prevents an unlicensed business selling hemp, CBD, cannabinoids, and related products from using a dispensary in its business name, creates criminal penalties and a $5,000 fine per transaction for violations of the intoxicating cannabinoid restrictions, restricts disclosure of medical marijuana patient information, and limits dispensaries from retaining recreational consumers' identifying information, and gives employees of cannabis-related business collective bargaining rights under the state law. So essentially, like I said, where this could affect municipalities is if you do have a facility that is selling hemp-derived products, but they are not licensed with the state, they can no longer sell those products. And then the last one on the list here is Senate Bill 907. So this has to do with abuse of website accessibility litigation. So this essentially what this is going to do is a Missouri resident, the state, or even a political subdivision facing a website accessibility claim may seek a court determination that the action was filed primarily to obtain a payment because defending the case would be expensive rather than to correct a legitimate accessibility problem. So what was happening is you have these attorneys across really all of America right now that are pinpointing websites that were not ADA compliant and essentially starting a suit against them with the intention of hopefully that whether it's a person or a small business or a municipality just settles rather than defend it because of the cost of the defense. And so what this does is this will allow the political subdivisions to use basically the acts and the protections of the remedies in the bill. It allows courts to award attorney fees and costs in appropriate cases, punitive damages or sanctions up to 3 times the attorney fee award if the municipality or the defense wins. And it does not eliminate it doesn't eliminate legitimate accessibility duties and prevent or prevent valid enforcement actions under disability access laws. So that's, I think, kind of covers all the basis of the bills that I think Mr. Bova had on his list and concerns that will come up next year as well. You know, as everyone knows, I am as accessible as I possibly can be. Email, through phone calls. I think almost everybody here has my number. If there's any concerns about legislation coming down the pipeline, you let me know. And if I see stuff soon enough, obviously we'll reach out and email anything. I'll email Dave or the mayor and see if there's anything or any opinions that is necessary for making a legitimate decision when I go to vote. And I can take any questions or that's the legislation, as I said, that came down the pipeline over the last 2 years.
Can we talk about proposed amendments?
So you want to?
You know, the big debate, Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, I hear the most questions about being in a local business. As several of the people of the board I get asked, in particular, I watched a couple of debates on them. Probably more confused now than past, but I don't understand the income tax thing and replacing it with sales tax. Being a business owner to face 16-17% sales tax, it just seems like a big hurdle. But when I got on and did a little research and stuff, I found there's 41 states still charge income tax, and all the states surrounding Missouri do. So we're going to take and be a little island, and amongst all these other states, there's only a few other states that do and stuff. I mean, I don't see the impact. And one of the arguments was to control state spending. I couldn't make the coalition between the two. So where does, how is that going to control spending and stuff when, everybody knows in the last 6 years our state budget has doubled.
Yeah, so I came prepared just in case that came up. So essentially what I can do is I'll try to, with this being a public setting, if you will, I'll try to give the non-biased, what the bill says and what it's going to do, the proposal, that it was the amendment. And I will answer your question on, is this going to control spending? I do not see it controlling spending because it doesn't decrease funding that the state is going to get. If it's only going to more than likely increase funding, in my opinion. And so in regards to that claim that you brought up, I do not think that this would hone in on state spending, in my opinion. So, all right. So Amendment 5, I think it's the most important fact is it does not immediately eliminate or reduce the income tax. So, what it says, instead, it directs the General Assembly to pass future legislation that will gradually reduce the income tax rate based on revenue growth until the tax reaches zero. So what the amendment doesn't specify is any kind of date when we're supposed to do that. It doesn't give a final deadline for elimination. It doesn't amount to it doesn't state reductions. We don't know what those look like yet. The exact revenue growth formula, we don't know. Which current untaxed goods and services would become taxable, future sales tax rates. We don't know any of this. That's kind of you're going to see the theme on that, is it is very vague. And it's purposely vague, I guess, if you will. But those decisions would have to come after it were passed, if it were to be passed. So, current revenue context: during the fiscal year 2026, Missouri collected approximately $9.14 billion in gross revenue from individual income tax and $3.4 billion in gross sales and use tax. So the reason I have these figures is to illustrate the scale of the revenue source that would eventually be eliminated and replaced. So essentially, you're looking at about $6 billion that would have to be shifted from income taxes to sales tax, use tax, things along those lines. All right, so the elimination of the individual income tax, the General Assembly would be constitutionally required to enact legislation reducing the top individual income tax base rate, based on revenue growth until the tax is eliminated. Once the individual income tax reaches zero, the Constitution does prohibit it from coming back. The amendment applies to state individual income tax only, so corporate income tax will not be touched. Local earnings tax, property taxes, sales taxes, none of those are touched. The next part, so expanded sales and use tax. Missouri Constitution currently prohibits state and local government from extending sales and use taxes to services or transactions that were not taxed as of January 1st, 2015. Amendment 5 creates an exception. It would allow the General Assembly to expand state and local sales and use taxes or similar transactions-based taxes to transactions involving any new goods or services when legislation is declared for eliminating the individual income tax and reducing different tax rates. So essentially, we will be able to change, the General Assembly, that is, will be able to change and rewrite the tax code as long as for the sake of eliminating the income tax. So, but this does not automatically tax every service. It does give the legislature the authority to decide which goods and services or transactions should be added to the tax base. So I always like to refer to that as the special interest favorite part of the bill, because they'll be the first ones at the seat at the table. Required state offset. If the legislature expands on the sales tax base or increases the state sales tax rate, the same legislation must reduce the top individual income tax rate. The estimated reduction in income tax revenue must be substantially equal to the estimated new sales tax revenue. So what that's saying is if we do pass legislation that is to decrease the income tax, it has to be based off of what we think our growth in revenue will be. So if we think our growth in revenue will be 100 million, we are going to decrease the income tax 100 million. But once again, it is an estimation. So we are guessing. The 5-year constitutional exemptions for legislation enacted within the next 5 years. If this were to take effect, new sales tax revenue would be excluded from the calculation of Article 10, Section E, which is typically associated as the Hancock Amendment. Normally, Section 18E does require voter approval when legislative tax and fee increases exceed constitutionally calculated thresholds. So basically, the people would get to vote on tax increases. And Amendment 5 would exempt that for the next 5 years. So the General Assembly would have full authority to increase revenue and taxes as long as it remains essentially net neutral, substantially equal to whatever the language, substantially equal. Then we could basically, change the tax code however we wanted within this confines here. Legislation would also be exempted from Article 4, Sections 30B, 30C, and 30D, which contain constitutional requirements concerning the allocation and protection of transported related revenues. Perfect example, like toll roads are in these. So those would be exempted if we wanted to do toll roads and stuff like that. So this is a municipality side of things, required local tax reductions, municipalities and counties, political subdivisions in general. Expanding the sales tax base would automatically increase local sales tax collections. So as the state increases our base, localities would be able to increase their base as well. And essentially beginning 12 months after that expansion, a local municipality receiving an additional revenue would be required to make a one-time tax adjustment equal to the approximate of 97% of your additional revenue that you were to bring in off of that tax expansion, essentially. The reduction could involve one or more of the following: local sales or use tax rate, personal property taxes, residential real property taxes, general real property tax, or local earnings taxes. What I don't know, from my understanding, is this would be what you would have to change would be determined by the General Assembly. However, I've been told that per someone else's reading of it, they think the locals would be able to make those decisions of where that tax relief would come from if afforded that opportunity. But I do not know. There's a little bit of mixed batch on that. There is a public school protection in there. Essentially, political subdivision could not make its required local tax adjustment, so this would more be the county, in a manner that reduces funding for public schools. And then part 7, and we're almost rounding this out here. If the state expands the sales tax base sales tax rates imposed directly by the Missouri Constitution would also have to be adjusted to offset additional revenue generated from the broader base. The state auditor would calculate those adjusted rates. So what this does, a yes vote directs the legislature to phase out the income tax, permanently prohibits the tax once it reaches zero to come back, allows sales and use tax to be extended to additional goods and services and transactions, requires approximately offsetting the state income tax reduction, so substantially equal, requires local tax rate adjustments when local sales tax revenue increases, and creates a 5-year exemption from certain existing constitutional tax restrictions. And obviously a no would be, it just stays the same where we're currently at. So once again, the pro side of things are saying you get rid of the income tax would bring in new business, bring in growth. That way there'd be a natural growth. And there's also a moral side of the income tax side of things as well. But then the no side is basically saying, well, this is not a tax decrease, this is a tax shift, which ultimately I think it is. And so there is no honing in on spending. There is no, the only thing that this could potentially do is increase taxes on, on classes that are not currently paying it now. So I think that is the crux of Amendment 5. I think I went over every part without getting into the actual language, which, I certainly am willing to do with anybody. We'd be here all night if you got me talking on the specifics of the language on Amendment 5, that is. So, and then, go ahead, Bob.
The one thing I see in this, it's the legislature is asking us to trust me.
Yep.
We're voting in something here that they can do whatever. They have the authority now to reduce income tax. They already did 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
We were paying 6%, now it's 4.6%. Why does this have to be a constitutional amendment? This doesn't seem like a constitutional amendment thing, but that bothers me. And two, when you look at the structure of the state, we're a border state. We border, a direct county, like I think there's 40 some counties out of the 140 in the state of Missouri that are all border, other states and stuff where there's direct access. We are already are at a disadvantage here not having a use tax in the county, which I don't understand why that has to be passed county by county, but just have a problem with that, trust me, when they can do the income tax already. And two, to burden, people, what percentage of that income tax is coming from what age group of people? That would be an interesting subject to see and stuff, but that sales tax is going to apply to every age group. And it just doesn't seem like, they put this thing in there. They know what the sales tax revenue is. It's at $9.6 billion and stuff. Why can't they assess that for several years and come up and say, this is what the sales tax is going to be? They know what the income tax is. I just don't understand their philosophy behind this, but.
Well, you and I are on the same boat there, Bob, because I don't either. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We can get rid of income tax today if we wanted to, or during legislative session, that we do not have to ask the voters for that. The main ask is the reason it has to go to the voters is because they want to have the exemptions for not having to ask the voters to raise taxes in other places. So, right now, if we wanted to increase, let's just say to keep it easy, sales tax 1%, obviously under the current protections of Hancock, we would have to go to the voters. Under this, over the next 5 years, we would not have to do so. So it is their way of basically guaranteeing that they're going to increase revenue because, if you increase taxes, you're going to increase revenue. And I will say this, like the state is not growing. We're down revenue this year. So the only way to decrease the income tax basically would without, basing it off of growth. So, because that's what they want to do is you keep hearing like, oh, we want to raise it off of revenue growth, or we want to eliminate income tax based off revenue growth. Well, how are you going to get that growth? Well, there's two ways. You can grow it by getting businesses here, creating more economic development, getting more tax revenue that way, kind of like naturally, or you can increase taxes in other places. And that's essentially what's going to happen because we are down across the board. So
Again, I just have a problem saying, trust me, when that same legislature has doubled the revenue spending in, 5 or 6 years?
since COVID, since
Yeah,
COVID.
that's,
Yeah. Well, and you know how I am on a budget hawk. So our budget at the state levels in quite a despair, to say the least. We're spending up our surplus, and the auditors, or not, the state auditor saying that. He warned us, and yet we still were unable to make the cuts necessary this year as well. So, this could also, I guess I'm getting a little bit unbiased if you can't tell where I'm at yet, but I don't trust the government any farther than I could throw it. And many of you guys, former colleagues of mine, I think probably remember that in this building as well. So I think that applies here too. There's other ways that we could do it, and I don't know. I don't want to. I tried to be as middle of the road as I could with this presentation, but I will, generally speaking, I think the majority of our district, I think, is overwhelmingly has the same consternations that you do, Bob. So, yeah. Any other? I know we're going really long, so I can talk. I can sit here and talk to anyone afterwards as well. I'll wait around if anyone wants to know about it. 4, 2, 1.
Any other questions right now?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. All right. Next up tonight, we will move to our city administrator's report. David, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. You have an updated report at your seat. Just want to point out some of these. The first 3 there kind of give you an update on the projects going on around town. If you jump down to 4, I'm going to combine that with number 8. We close with McBride on the 50 acres next week on the 29th. After we close, they'll be working to schedule a groundbreaking on the property to begin after they begin site work. So it won't be immediately, but only after they begin site work. And then talked with their director of purchasing. They're planning to schedule a contractor meeting at the end of August, beginning of September, and we will share that out with the public once it's finalized. Number 5, the Sarah's Garden project downtown at Merchant, Maine is basically complete. I'll be adding some lighting, and then we'll schedule a ribbon cutting down there. There were a lot of organizations that helped make that happen, so we'll try to get them all there. I will be out of the office next week, but I'm not leaving town, so I'll have my phone with me if you have any need to call me. Number 7, I wanted to let you know our surplus public works trucks sold this week. I told you there that the surplus PD vehicles will be listed on Purple Wave next week, but actually they're listed right now. So I shared that out on our news feed earlier today. And then lastly, I just want to let you know next month we'll be selling the remaining $150,000 worth of bonds. If you don't remember, we sold $9.85 million worth of bonds last year, so we'll be selling the remaining $150,000 next month. And that's all I got.
Any questions for David regarding his report? Okay, thank you very much. Next up, staff reports tonight. First up, Corey Litterst, Lions Water.
Good evening. You have a copy of my report. A few things. We replaced the hydrant on Walnut that was leaking. And there was at the firehouse that was also leaking that's replaced. 6th Street, water line is, the water project's done. Bones is scheduled to be up here Tuesday, and we're hoping to pave it on Thursday. Street sweeper's back up and running. We replaced the head, and it's working really well. It's picking up good sized rocks that it did before. And then the tank is swapped on a new cabin chassis that you guys approved for purchase. So, any questions?
I just want to add one thing to Corey's report. He brought me a sample of a piece of cast iron piping that we cut out on 6th Street.
Yes.
It's over here. The reason I have it over here, if you want to take a look at it, is you can see what has happened. That was probably 50 years old. It's got some nodules in it, and I wanted to show you that's what happens when we get the extreme heat or extreme cold. Those things break off. They're probably this size, and that turns the water brown. But it's from buildup inside the pipe.
It's chemical reaction with water, oxygen, and iron in it, and then the pipes are raw material on the inside, so it adheres to it. Temperature change breaks loose. That stuff there, you just break it up and it's just brown. So that's why when we go back, we're doing PVC. C factor's less, so that doesn't stick to it. Yes, sir.
It's my understanding you get done with this project, that you be going to Oakwood, is your next project?
I'm already talking about the water line.
Yeah.
Yes, that would switch that would be Joker Spooner, but yes, they're right there. That's street tear out, new water line, and street core back, yes.
David, I guess because on 9th Street, that was such a kind of a project of mine and stuff, I've noticed numerous people mowing, not only there, but around town, and clippings out in the streets and stuff. Where do we publish that? I seen one in an adjoining town, they sent out on a utility bill that said, just a reminder, no, because I know I've had Corey clean some of them out up there and stuff, but it's something we shouldn't have to do.
So last week, Corey brought that to my attention, and we published it out on the website and on Facebook. You can throw your grass clippings into the street if it's necessary, and then you should go back and blow them back into your yard. But we can put that on, try and put that on water bills also.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Corey regarding his report? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
And filling in for Chief Alec tonight, Lieutenant Pollock's here with us.
Good evening, everybody. You guys have a copy of our report, our last month's stats. You guys have any questions about that?
Well, are you aware of any new developments or trends or things that surprised you since the last report?
No, things seem to be going pretty consistent from the previous month.
Any other questions for Lieutenant Pollock regarding the report?
We got a request for a calendar that the police department's doing. I guess that's legit, and you guys are gonna do it for the canines?
Yes, we had a guy came in, he was going around selling positions on this calendar for a benefit for the department. Raise a little percentage, some money for...
Get some T-bones for the canines?
Give them something, maybe, you know, whatever we could help. I mean, we don't play with the dogs too much, you know, they look mean.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, we will open up the floor for public comment. Just a reminder to please state your name for the record, and please try to keep any comments to 5 minutes or less. Any public comment? Okay. No. Yep.
Mike Sizemore, not even half a block from here. It's come to our attention, to a lot of people that live here in St. John, about the trash pickup. One would bring it down to like one company. Well, we're totally against that. A lot of us are. The thing is, the company I have now, they give military discount. If I go on vacation, they suspend my service and then don't charge me for it until I return. And the thing is, I see a lot of big trucks coming through here. I mean, you got food trucks, you got beer trucks, I mean, semis coming through here from time to time. I get what you're trying to do, but the thing is, the impression I also got is that if you were to pass it, go down to one company, it'll be attached to our water bill, and even if I don't use the trash service, I'll still be charged for it, which I totally disagree with to begin with. So this is some of the impressions I'm getting from people around our city. I think we should have a right to choose who picks up our trash and not be designated and say, oh, by the way, you're going to use this company whether you like it or not. That's not very democratic. And in my opinion, I think we should be able to choose where our trash is picked up, who picks it up, and the cost. I mean, I get a discount because, one, I'm retired military, and plus a senior. But the company I'm with now takes that all into consideration. The big thing is if it went down to one company and say you froze it for like 3 years, 5 years, whatever, who's to say 3 to 5 years down the road, they're not going to raise the price. And if it winds up being more than I'm already spending now, how's that fair to me if I don't have a right to choose somebody else? So, in my opinion, it's like, I'm totally against it. But if you're going to vote for this, I think you should put the vote out to the public, not just a personal vote. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment at this time?
I don't know if we, Mr. Sizemore, we are actually having a discussion on that tonight after this meeting. We have a work session, and some of that is going to be talked about with the trash service. So if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay and listen.
I just wanted to voice my opinion.
Yes, sir.
On people I've talked to around the city.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if there's no other public comment at this time, I will go ahead and close that out, and we will move along to tonight's consent agenda. I believe Alderwoman Dobbs has one adjustment she would like to make.
I'd like to make a motion to pull 2026-47 from the consent agenda for discussion.
Okay, approval otherwise though? Motion to approve with that change?
Yes, motion to.
So a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda while also pulling out resolution 2026-47.
I didn't butcher that.
Second.
Okay, I believe I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you all very much. And let's talk about resolution 2026-47. This is a resolution appointing Guy/Ed Littrell to the St. Genevieve Planning and Zoning Commission.
Would you want it 46 out?
Or, do you want 46 or 47?
47.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 47.
Okay, you're good.
Now we're talking about 47.
Okay. Do I have a motion? I read it.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2026-47 or discussion or? How about just a straight across vote on it?
We have to have a motion.
Well,
we gotta have a motion. It's like anything else. I just need a motion and then a second and then we'll vote.
Well, let's do it.
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for resolution 2026-47. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed. Opposed. Just 2 noes.
I got 2 noes.
All opposed to.
3 noes.
3 noes. Everybody else voted in favor, correct? Yeah, okay.
Correct? Okay. 5-3. Motion carries.
So motion carried.
Yep.
So once again, we had talked before on appointments like that not being part of the consent agenda, just so that we can, if there is discussion.
Moving forward.
If we can
Wanna keep
try
them
to
out of
keep
there?
those out of the consent agenda, that would solve a little bit of the problem.
Okay. Okay, thank you all for that. That motion does carry 5-3. Okay, thank you. We do have a little bit of old business tonight. We have a second reading of Bill number 4732. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 210, Offenses of the St. Genevieve Code of Ordinances as set forth below.
Just some discussion on this. I mean, is this,
Yep.
it makes sense, but was there something that prompted this?
Yeah, Aaron has had some businesses reaching out to use our logo to sell t-shirts, hats, things like that. And we'd like to control that.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Sue, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs? Yes. Alderman Fahey?
Yes.
Alderman Donovan?
Yes.
Alderman Ely?
Yes.
Alderman Eidman?
Yes.
Alderman Steiger?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Ross?
Yes.
We have 8 yes votes. Bill number 4732 now becomes ordinance number 4653.
Thank you very much. We do not have any new business to discuss at this time. Is there any other business to bring forth right now before we move into work session?
I've got one compliment for City Hall. There was a kind of a disgruntled citizen that came to City Hall today about some various topics, and I think Dave was able to kind of explain to him a little bit about the situation, and I was impressed with, he actually called me back and thanked me and wanted to let me know to thank Dave for helping him and kind of getting the information, because I think he was not looking for a fight, but I think he was, and Dave handled it, I think, really well, apparently. He called me back and said, good job. So kudos to you for handling citizens like that.
Thank you. Wonderful. Anything else to discuss at this time? Okay, if not, then we will adjourn and we'll move into work session shortly after. Thank you all very much. Tonight's work session to order. At this time, I will look for approval of tonight's work session agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. First item up tonight is the Solid Waste Services single carrier discussion.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of information and we'll go from there. You can see here the Solid Waste Services Committee that we established back in May asked staff to gather some information from local citizens and haulers on the possibility of contracting with a single hauler. After speaking with, it's more like 30 citizens now within the city, their monthly trash bills ranged from $25 a month to $66 a month. So that's the first bit of information. Additionally, the following information was gathered. We put a survey monkey out for approximately 4 weeks, had 111 responses. First question was, would you support the city contracting with a single hauler if residential trash bills were $27 per month or less? That was a 76.58% yes, 23.42% no. Second question was, if the city were to contract with a single residential hauler, how important is it to you that a trash service include recycling pickup at no additional cost? That was 37.84% very important, 34.2% somewhat important, and 27.9% not important at all. Question 3 was, if the city were to contract with a single trash hauler, would you value having biannual large item pickup included in your service at no additional cost? That was 73.87% yes, 10.8% no, 15.3% unsure. Question 4 was, if the city were to contract with a single residential trash hauler, would you favor having trash service billed along with your monthly water and sewer bill? That was 55.86% yes, 24.3% no, 19.8% unsure. And the final question was, overall, should the City of St. Genevieve Board of Aldermen explore the possibility of contracting with a single residential trash collection provider which would service all city residents? That, similar to the first question, was 73.87% yes, 26.13% no. The second handout you have is a summary of similarly sized municipalities within the state of Missouri, populations ranging from 3,250 to 6,500, who have contracted trash service, their satisfaction with that trash service, and their current residential rate. So those range from $14.28 per month to $25 per month across about a dozen different cities of similar population. You also have the Missouri state statute there. I want to provide that to you along with the steps that would be taken in the process. The only other thing I want to share with you before just having a conversation amongst yourselves is that I've also spoken with Republic, Waste Management, Top Tier. I've reached out to Woody's multiple times but not gotten a response. And I've asked them my questions and they've asked questions of me, so they should all be aware that at least this discussion is happening tonight. There are representatives from Republic and Waste Management in the audience. If you have questions for them, they're both willing to answer. I hope I don't butcher your names, but it's Robin Modlin from Republic and Todd Hinderleiter from Waste Management. They are also here if you have questions for them. Or questions for me.
Dave, in your questionnaire, starting with question 2, the first thing I see in all these questions is if. So what controls do we have over these what ifs?
I don't know what that question means, I'm sorry.
Okay, start with question 2. If the city were to contract with a single trash hauler, how important is it to have a recycling? I mean, are you saying if we contract with a single person, we would have recycling, or is this?
No, I'm saying if we go down this path and we select a hauler, how important is it for that to include recycling?
But it's not saying just because if we do go to a single hauler, we will have recycling.
No, that's the gist of the question.
Right.
Yeah, that's up to us if we want to include that as a service that they have to provide.
Which, I mean, our 2 representatives could answer this also, but to include recycling will make it more expensive.
So these towns that you've got on your survey here, or your form here, the ones that are having the 14, the 18 odd, those, we'll assume they don't have recycling.
The only 2 that do not have recycling are Lamar and Orongo at 1428, 1498. All the rest of them offer recycling. Which is, I apologize, on the back.
Oh, okay.
And the vast majority of them also offer a bulk pickup.
Yes, sir.
Once or twice a year?
Actually, it varies. Once a month, once every couple months. Some do a bulk item pickup. Some have a dumpster that they drop near City Hall where people can put their bulk items. I am not a favor of that whatsoever, but multiple options.
I can tell you a neighboring town did away with that a couple of years ago because they were getting, you name it, in there and done away with the whole recycling. But I guess I'd like to ask a couple questions of the 2 representatives here. You know, the biggest problem I've had, and I've been opposed to this from day one, I'll shoot you straight and stuff, was one, the size of the trucks. The smaller companies that are here now have smaller trucks. We just spent millions of dollars on our streets. We're trying to upgrade. There's nothing in the questionnaire and really relaying to the public, where is the size of these trucks going to end? We've asked, and it's come up that we can't limit the size of those trucks or monitor the size of those trucks. If that can't be done, I mean, you know, we've spent our money for a number of years to pick up the streets and stuff. I'm not interested, and I can imagine the taxpayers aren't interested either in tearing these streets up with tandem axle trucks with a 3rd axle that they can drop down when they get up in that 50,000 pound range. So where's our insurance that we won't have these giant trucks? We have them now, some of them. So if we go to a single hauler, that means we're going to have them do every pickup everywhere in town on every street. So what's your plan to work with us on that? Is there a plan, or are we just going to have to put up with the big trucks?
So I'll go ahead and take that question. So the axle situation, the science actually supports having more axles on a truck. So the more axles you have to disperse that weight of that load across, that's a less pain point, a less sort of ball point, if you will, that's just carrying all of that load. So the science actually supports having a tandem or even a triplicate axle truck. Some of these smaller trucks that are super small and they don't even have the capacity to carry what we can carry, your rate is going to be higher because they have to make more trips to dispose. So it's, I mean, the science supports the double axle trucks versus your rate is going to be a lot higher because they have to make several trips to dispose. They can't haul what we can haul. And the trucks, I'm assuming Waste Management also uses an ASL truck. They're similar sized. Both huge companies. Waste Management is the #1 company in the nation. We're #2. And the science and the studies that have gone into these trucks to reduce the impact to the roads and to be able to carry what they carry has been thoroughly exhausted. If we were just going through tearing up streets all over the place, we would not be the #1 and 2 companies.
I have a question on that. My name's Sam Huey, Alderman 2, and I'm retired heavy haul over the road, 150, 200,000 pounds. Are those tag axles steerable on those trucks, or are they rigid?
That, don't get me to lie to you because I don't
Because
drive.
trust me, I've torn up my share of asphalt. And the triple axle truck is very bad. I understand your weight. Trust me, I've sat in every scale between the Gulf and Great Lakes. That's fine, but you have that third axle. When you turn, you have that scrub. And asphalt's made to be driven on, not slid on.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that apparently when you watch the trucks. When they leave black marks when they make that turn, you've got that abrasion on that asphalt. And as I say, it's made to be driven on, not skidded on. So you damage the surface of that asphalt. Once you damage that top surface of that asphalt, then you got water infiltration. There's why Mr. Donovan and myself are opposed to the 3-axle trucks. Like I say, I'm very familiar with that because I ran multiple 9, 10 axles.
We only have tandem axle. I don't know about Waste Management. And if you want for a future session, I can bring our mechanic and our operations manager that can answer any question about a truck that you may have.
Right. And I understand too, there again, I've got a lot of experience in heavy haul. You guys are running excessive weights on those solid waste trucks. You can haul more weight on those per axle than the standard truck can. You can haul up to 20,000 pounds per axle, providing you have the tires, which I know you do. So you're already running heavier on your tandem truck than we're running, than the guy driving the semi through town. You're heavier than him.
DOT regulates how heavy our loads can be. They have to be weighed every time they come in and out, and they cannot be overweight. They cannot.
Up to 40,000.
I don't believe we're picking up to that much in town. I think we pick up maybe 350 homes here in town, and there's no way it would reach that limit. And the transfer station is here in town, so it's not like we're picking it up on the way back from gathering, another town's trash. It's leaving the transfer station, servicing the residents, and going back.
Well, there again,
I'll argue, Sam, though, they're already doing it. So it doesn't change, it doesn't negate the idea of having a single carrier, because they're already doing this, and we can't stop them from doing what they're doing now.
they're running essentially the truck routes, handling commercial.
No, they're doing it residential. I know the one.
Well, I know, but
Yeah.
not a lot of the smaller town back in here.
Well, they're coming down my dead end street.
But I'll follow one around and see what's going on with that.
I have, and I noticed none of your triple axles or steer axles are ready. And that scrubbing is a definite, like I said, the big concern here, we just spent how many millions of dollars?
They're going to be doing it no matter what, though. If we don't do a single carrier, they're still going to be doing exactly what you're complaining about. And I don't disagree with
We
you.
need to be able to limit the weights on these trucks and stuff, but you're talking about spreading, 7 feet from the front axle to the center of or not from the front axle, from the back axle to the center of the tag axle. You're talking about spreading 7 feet, and you're talking about 25 or 27,000 pounds more. that truck can haul. You know, I mean, I understand the philosophy behind more axles, more weight, but I just don't think on our unproven streets here where.
And if we're not hauling that much, if we're that close to the transfer station, if we're not hauling that much, why are we even needing a triple axle truck? Because the tear weight on that truck, beginning, empty weight of that truck is probably 10,000 pounds heavier than a tandem axle truck. Ask me why I know that.
But the argument that more axles disperses the weight is true if the size of the truck remains the same. But when you're increasing the size of the truck tenfold over the size of the other truck and putting it over those extra axles, I mean, it's still carrying more weight across our streets. So the argument that the more axles is better, that's only if you're using the same size truck.
Gentlemen, this is a moot point. They're gonna still operate just like they are now. So we can argue about this, but it's still gonna happen. So this is not a good argument of not having a single carrier. That's all I'll say.
Valid argument. I do too. I think it's a valid argument of protecting our streets and stuff.
No, we're trying to get down to one carrier so there's not 3 or 4 different trucks doing the same thing. And we're also trying to reduce our price and get more services.
You know, and I think everybody here, once we introduced some of the smaller trucks, got better pricing. Why did that happen? Everybody I've talked to about it, once we had a third carrier in here, got better pricing. Why did that drive the pricing down? It's called competition.
But that's what they're doing now. They're going to bid on and compete on it for a 3-year contract, and then you don't get any raises during that 3 years. When's the last time? Have you not raised prices for 3 years at your business?
Well,
now we're going to lock it in for 3 years. We're getting competition. We're getting more competition than what we would, even when you had 3 or 4 carriers.
But you don't have the small trucks.
We could maybe demand, I think we could set that in the contract. If we thought that really was valid, we could potentially put that in the contract that you have to have single axle trucks. If you guys really think that that's going to make a big difference, that's something that we could put in the contract. It might change the pricing. I don't know what that would do.
The tandem axle truck I'm not so much against. But you add that extra weight of the triple axle truck to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you have that side scrub on that there, especially not being a steerable pusher.
That makes sense.
So when they dump that steerable pusher to turn, all of a sudden now you got 30,000 pounds of steering axle.
So gentlemen, what I say is a single carrier, we can now mandate that in the contract, whereas now with...
We can't do that.
We cannot do that now, but if we go to a single carrier, we can take up your ID.
The DOT will not let us mandate weight limits on our streets.
No, but in our contract, we can decide what size of truck they're allowed to do. You think that?
You can on residential streets.
On a residential street, we can limit. We can't tell them how much they can go on the highway.
We can limit, but we have no way of weighing those trucks or enforcing them.
So that leaves a gray area.
It leaves no
very
enforcement.
gray area.
Yeah.
I got a question on number 5. When you read it, it says this service will include all city residents. So you're saying that every person living in the city will have to participate in this?
That'll be up to you all.
Okay. Do we know how many households today actually use a carrier?
I don't know a specific number, but I've got numbers from 3 of the 4 carriers, and I would anticipate we have about 1,200 to 1,500 residential trash accounts in the city amongst 4 carriers.
And I don't think anybody on the board wants to mandate that everyone has trash service. It is currently written into the ordinance that we have to have that, but I don't think anybody wants to mandate that in the contract that everyone would have to have service. If you are a senior citizen and you have one little bag and you give it to your son, if you have a business with a dumpster and you take your trash to your commercial dumpster, I don't think anybody on this board would probably push to have mandatory service at every residence.
Well, you're doing it now with this. This will produce mandatory. Every
Well, this was a question. This was a question, should we? But I don't think anybody on this board wants to mandate service for every residence.
That's the thing I've been getting from my
I think, and I would be opposed to
Same thing
that.
as
I'm 100% opposed to that. If somebody has another way to get rid of their trash, I'm all for them. I think that would be the worst thing to mandate that they have to have a service that they don't.
That's the breaking point I've been getting from my people.
I
make one little bag
I'm
of
100%
trash.
opposed to mandatory service.
Yes.
I see both sides, and I agree with both sides. I see pros and cons on both sides. However, with the mandate, let's go on that little board there. I agree with the mandating to a certain extent. This may be the other side of it. I'm looking at both sides here again. I'm not saying I'm for or against either one. However, there's a lot of people in town, and we live in town. We're in city limits. You should not be burning trash in town. There's a lot of people that choose, especially on my street, to burn their trash. Now that sucks when it's really nice outside and you're trying to enjoy some fresh air coming in your home, and you got to smell somebody's plastic. So that would help in that sense. Also, you have a lot of people that fail to pay for the trash service, and they pile up trash. That creates rats. It creates animals getting into trash. Ask me how I know. I see it.
We already
on my
have
board.
ordinances that address that.
So what?
We already have ordinances in place
I understand
address
that, but that is in with this whole deal. I mean, that's another issue, and honestly, we don't really address that until somebody complains. That's my 2 cents.
So if somebody comes along and stuff and signs up for the trash service and still burns their trash, I mean, it's still an enforcement thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's not, I don't see where this is going to eliminate that.
But why would they burn their trash if they're mandated to have trash service and they're
I
paying
have
for it?
a neighbor that does.
I think it would help with that.
I mean, I personally, I have a problem with the survey, basically. You know, the results there don't really fall in line with all the comments that, you know, Don Prichard put his post out, and they were mostly negative and not in favor of it. Another problem I got with the survey is it wasn't limited to city residents, and I know a couple people from the county said, well, let me see if it works, and they went in there. So, you know, I don't, we had 111 responses. I forget how many comments, you know, Prichard's post was up to, but the majority of those comments were against it, and I've been against it all.
Could be the same thing. We don't know if those were city residents either. They could have been county residents commenting on
And
it.
county's irrelevant.
Right, but the survey wasn't limited, so we don't know if those numbers are accurate or not. And, you know, I've been involved with this before, and like I've said before, I've been against this from the beginning. I don't think it's government's role to dictate, you know, if I want a better trash rate, I can contact all of them, just like that man there gets discounts for being a veteran. He can go out and negotiate his own rate. I don't need city or county or state telling me who I need to do business with. That's my job to go negotiate that contract.
Well, some people will pay a cheaper rate. However, you also have a lot of your senior citizens and stuff that only maybe have one bag a week that it's not, I mean, it's not gonna be pretty for them. So there's both sides of that. I mean, there's just so many pros and cons of the whole deal. But I've seen it work very well in Perryville. I lived in Perryville for years, and I've seen it work very well in Perryville. They've been doing this for 30 years plus, so.
Well, I don't see
They've got
anything
all
changing.
engineered concrete streets in Perryville.
They do.
We have a bunch of streets that we don't know about. We're paving over the top of them. Most of them we're kind of checking and stuff, but you know, the whole idea of this thing is, I guess, to get a better price. There's no guarantees in there that we're going to get a better price. There's no guarantee we're going to get any of these ifs.
Just one thing there, all the streets we've paved, we've cored.
Right.
Okay.
And we would get a better rate. We don't have to accept the contract, right? So we would put it out for bid. We would know what let's say it's a 3-year contract we decide to go with. We would absolutely know if we're going to get a better rate. If they come back with higher rates, we don't accept the contract and we move on with the way it is.
I mean, the status now in the city is, we don't know how many households actually use a trash service.
There should be
We don't know how many people out there that don't use it. So
That would probably be.
we're just gonna pick up the people that are using a trash service. So, all these different carriers, I mean, like you said, how many was there, like 1,200 or something like that?
Approximately.
Okay,
They know, like, they've given me their numbers. So they're gonna add up to about 1,200.
okay. We need some kind of exemption of people that do not want to use a single carrier trash service. Just let them sign a paper or do something, some kind of a process that they will not use a different carrier, or they would not use, or they would dispose of their trash properly.
And not burn.
So if they're a city resident and we sign a single contract, we're telling those people they can't use anybody else?
Yes.
It would have to be, or even have one.
As
Cities do the
these,
same.
yeah.
All right, I'm going to interject real quick here. Hold that thought, Alderman Fahey. Mr. Sizemore from the audience did have a comment or question.
I'm actually going to defend the big companies here, because I have to use one of them. My bill went up a little bit because of increasing gas. And that's going to happen either you have a small company or you have a big company. And to interject what you guys were saying, I know people that have their own businesses, and some of these small trucks don't have the capability to pick up a dumpster. They do, but these other ones running around town, the small companies, do not have that capability. So are we going to hire somebody to get a bigger truck to get a lower price to pick up the dumpsters at these businesses? And that includes out there on 55, or businesses out there, which is not in the city limits, but they're still going to have to pay for trash pickup. They got dumpsters.
These would just be residential.
Yeah, this is not a commercial carrier, just the residential.
That's all
Who's going to pick up the dumpsters? That's going to be the thing. And if you limit it to one small vehicle because you're worried about the roads, I get that part. I understand that. But who's going to pick up all these residential dumpsters in this town?
The commercial dumpsters.
Right, the commercial dumpsters,
Yeah.
which the small trucks don't have that capability.
Most of them are Republic. Most of the commercial dumpsters are Republic.
I know.
Yeah.
And they would still be able, any entity, business entity could hire any
Right.
dumpster that they want.
And so
It wouldn't change that for
I
them.
have a trash can, and my sister-in-law and people I know, they have one bag, and they bring it to me. And the thing is, I might have my trash picked up twice a month, even though I'm paying for the entire month. But like I said earlier, if you pass this one bill or ordinance or whatever you want to call it and go to a smaller company, are you going to guarantee me when I'm gone for 3 months that they're not going to charge me because I'm putting it on a seasonal hold? They do. They're not being charged for it.
We can write that into the contract that they would be required to be able to have that option.
You do have an answer.
And discounts for seniors, sit-downs, veterans.
He's got an answer back there, I guess.
No, I just want to clarify, we don't charge you for those 3 months.
I know, that's why I just said it.
I thought I heard we did.
No,
I wanted to
the
clarify.
public service doesn't either. But the thing is, the only reason my bill went up the last few months is because the price of gas went up. And we all know that problem. We all know why we have that problem. But that's another story for another time. But just the thing is, it's like, I know, like I said, I know people that have professional, I mean, the big dumpsters and stuff, because they have their big business. I mean, well, out on the H Road, M Road, and big facilities out there.
That wouldn't change for them. They could continue to do what they're doing now.
Yeah, but who's going to pick them up if we went to a smaller company?
Their current carriers would, stay as.
But they're gonna be driving on the streets too.
Yes.
But there's not as many dumpsters as what there is households. I mean, you don't have every house have a dumpster. So you gotta really think about that.
But see now, the
But
thing
we're
is,
doing residential, not commercial here.
the, well, you know what the Legion's at, but that a row of apartments that are there, they have a single dumpster that's utilized by everyone in the apartments. So the trucks have to go into the apartment complexes to pick it up. just like anywhere else that has apartment complexes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, where do you draw the line?
I think you could answer a lot if you, can you go through the sequence of how this is gonna go? Because I think a lot of people think that we're gonna vote on this tomorrow or something, you know.
I do want to throw one more thing out at you. There are cities out there, our size, that go through this process and then they decide to pay the bill. In other words, let's say there's 1,200 accounts. Let's say one carrier would win those 1,200 at $15 a month. Then that, we would pay that cost and then pass it on or not to, now that's going to be a huge expense for us. I say huge. It's going to be a big expense, but it's also a way to make sure absolutely every residence has a trash can and a trash pickup. But now it's a cost on us. So that's something to think about.
That's something to think about.
So how do they get that back, David? Do they put it in the water bill
There
or
are
whatever? or
cities
they
that
just eat it?
simply offer it as a service. It's like water and sewer. I mean, you pay for your water and sewer. There are cities that it's $10 a month on everybody's bill. So I would tell you in that instance, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in that instance, the city is supplementing. They're probably paying a little bit more than that. So something to think about. The steps. On the back page, it has the state statute, confirm legal authority. We've done that. This is legally able to be done. Board resolution to begin research process and deliver 2-year notice. So this is kind of what I'm asking for tonight is, do you want to move forward? And if so, then we'll bring a resolution to you next meeting to vote on that says we would like to pursue this 2-year process. It is not a commitment to do anything besides go down the process. At that point, we would send letters to the carriers saying, we're going to begin the 2-year process. Does not mean you have to select someone in the end.
We have done this before. We have went out and stated that we are going to do a single care, and the board at 2 years or 3 years, whatever the statute was back then, chose not to go forward with a single carrier. So just because we agree to go to a single carrier and start the process, we don't vote on this till 2 years from now, after we get contracts back and look at them and then decide. So this is not committing the city to very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to, I have a lot of experience with cities that are currently open market and they want to
You
franchise.
can come up to you if you want. You can come up to the mic. Sorry.
I feel like it's my duty to make sure you guys are prepared for what's going to happen or what could happen. I'm not here to convince you either way, but it will get ugly. It will get very ugly. I've seen super small, charming towns, low crime rate, tires get slashed. Kids are getting beat up at schools. People are getting harassed. It's going to get ugly. I want you to be prepared for that. If you choose to try to franchise, I want you to be prepared. However, I've not seen a city that did franchise that regretted it. But those were the cities where it didn't get terribly ugly. This gentleman has been super polite about his opposition. That's not an ordinary thing in these discussions. It's just not. I recommend for any city that's thinking about it, put your notice out. You don't have to do anything. Just put your notice out in case. If you want me to be honest about what my company would like, we would like it to stay open market. That way there's no potential loss of business. You can look at the science on the trucks. I can bring mechanics and operations managers that can answer any questions about that. But I need you to know that this could get very, very ugly. And you're going to have a lot more citizen engagement. You already have more citizens than a typical city hall meeting in Southeast Missouri. It's going to get full in here. I've seen KFVS 12 come and cover it because citizens are so out of sorts. I've seen entire boards change because of how they voted on a franchise provision. So if you franchise, of course we want your business. That is my job. I love getting new contracts. It makes me happy. It makes me look good to my boss. Any new opportunity is a great opportunity for me personally. But I also need cities to trust me, and if I'm not completely honest about what this is going to look like, you're not going to trust me. So I need you to know, if you're going to do this, it could get terrible, or you could not hear a peep. I don't believe that's what's going to happen, but it's going to rile people up when you take their choice away, or you mandate that somebody has to pay for a service they weren't previously paying for. Even though it's trash and it's a small fee, people are going to be very upset.
Yeah, Robin,
Yes.
where did you live?
Where do I live? I live in Campbell. That's in the Boot Hill.
Oh, okay. You don't know this city?
I have family that live here.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I take a little offense in what you're telling me about it can get so nasty and terrible here. This is a good city.
Anywhere
People
based
talk
on,
to each other.
I'm not
here.
saying anything disparaging about the city. I'm saying just based on what I've seen in every city, wonderful places.
Anything can happen. But I'm telling you that this city works together.
I'm not disparaging the city. I promise I'm not.
Okay.
I've got one question before you leave. We've talked about the different size trucks. I haven't seen many small trucks from Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have 3 locations. You do all of them. They're all big, triple axle. So if we put this together and we decide smaller trucks, is that something Republic would accommodate?
So that is something that I would have to discuss with my manager in our area office. Usually if a contract is super sizable, like a huge city, they might accommodate that request. In other smaller cities where it may not be as profitable, we may just not bid on it.
One other question and stuff. I've seen in the past and stuff when it came to recycling, they pick that up in the same trucks that they pick up trash in at different times.
Mm-hmm.
So that recycling stuff comes in to a contaminated truck. It's not washed out?
No, it does get washed out. If we get caught having regular solid waste in our truck, it's game over. And I encourage you to search it. We've had news companies put trackers in bottles and things and put it in recycling just to see if we're really recycling. We're recycling. The only time that it's not going to go to a recycling facility is when contamination is too high. If your load is too contaminated, say it's got a bunch of food scraps in it or it's just got regular trash mixed in, the recycling facility is going to, first of all, we'll get a contamination fee that we have to pay. We don't collect that from the city, we just have to pay it out of pocket. And then we also have to pick it up and take it to a solid waste facility because the recycling facility is not going to continue to process it. We don't have a special designated, this is only a recycling truck.
Correct.
But we cannot mix trash and recycling.
Yeah, because that contamination is a huge issue when it goes to the sorting facility.
Yeah.
Because
If
I
it's a
know
recycling route, it's only on a recycling route for that period. Good info.
One more question, ma'am.
And I think he
We're from Campbell?
Yes.
Are the peaches all done?
Yes, peaches are coming off and we've got people coming in from everywhere to get them.
I might be down there this weekend.
Where's she from?
Campbell?
Good question.
Oh,
So,
That's the peach.
here's my 2 cents. Here's my 2 cents to all this, okay? You've already alluded to it. You don't have to do anything right now. Matter of fact, this process is all about creating a request for proposal. You can put out whatever you want within those requests, right? Whatever pricing you want, whatever services you want. Those are all things you can put within that RFP. So you could have, for example, what is our price for trash only? What is our price for trash and recycling? What is our price for trash, recycling, and yard waste? Okay. So you have all those options for different pricing so you can see what the pricing scale is for all those services. Okay. The beauty of having it managed by the city, and the city may not feel this way, okay, but the beauty of it being managed by the city is that ensures that every cart that is assigned to a house gets picked up. To your point earlier, when it's direct bill, when you're using multiple carriers and somebody doesn't pay their bill, what happens to that trash?
Sits there.
What else happens?
Rodents.
Okay? When you have a city contract, and this even goes with Republic, same thing, they're no different. When you have a city contract, that guarantees that every cart gets picked up. Okay? We are no longer in charge of whether you paid your bill or not paid your bill. The city is. Cities that I deal with that do this tend to be a little more lenient with their residents, right? We as big companies, you get 60 days late, we're starting to not service you. As a city, you've got means and ways to say, hey, look, we can help you out, we'll carry you, but you've got to explain to us why you haven't paid your trash bill. That make sense? Yes? Okay. So the moral of the story here is this. Whether you use one provider or not, that's up to you. You can do an RFP for all of us to be a one provider and come to the conclusion that no, you want to stay the way you currently are. That's the beauty of putting out an RFP. It's exactly what it's designed to do. Establish what the parameters are, and you can set them. What the parameters are, what the expectations are, and if you don't like them, then you stay with what you're currently doing. Okay. The last part of it is you have 4 contractors in town now. All 4 charge different pricing. I don't have to look that up to know that. Okay? And it varies, I heard it. Okay? Supply and demand. If you go to one carrier, what does that mean?
Just locked in for that
Price
amount of
is
time.
lower. Price is lower. You're locked in for the contract. And, again, depending on the terms, and this gentleman brought up, so the town is what we call open market right now. Right? So all 4 contractors, you use who you want, right? You're getting your discounts and all that. He just spoke about a fuel increase, right? When you do contracts with cities, you can put in the language that says, no extra charges. This is our locked-in rate for this year. This is our locked-in rate for this year. Okay. So that takes away all the extra charges, fuel charges, and increases that you get as an independent buyer. Does that help? Any other questions for me?
I have one other concern I just thought about, and this is not necessarily a question for either one of you two, but we have a very nice recycling center here now that's county operated. I'm wondering what happens to that, because I have a pretty good idea that most of the people that use it are city residents. It's right here next to the city. It's staffed by a local sheltered workshop. That would be terrible to lose that facility and those opportunities for the people working there. I don't know if I could get past that if we award a single and recycling is part of it. I guess that's a lot of what ifs and stuff, but I don't know if I could take that, losing that recycling center and those people who are special needs. That is a big deal. I use it, all the time and stuff, and part of it's just out of it gives them a job.
Sure.
But anyhow, that's a big concern.
That's a great point. Respect that completely. Okay. Again, my understanding is that the point of this is going to one vendor. Maybe it's trash only.
Yeah.
Maybe it's trash and recycling. Maybe it's trash, recycling, and yard waste. Right? Okay. To that point, for both of us, okay, in terms of recycling, if you go that route, residential recycling, there are restrictions of the type of items you can recycle. The reason why I bring that up is I deal with other cities that have recycling centers just like that. None of them have shut down. None of them laid people off, even though they have recycling, because there are other things that get recycled that can't go into your trash or your recycling. Fair enough? Anything else?
Great discussion, thank you.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great discussion.
Yeah, I didn't go through all the steps, but they're listed there. So the third step would be, for the first year, we'd gather more information and develop an RFP. Then we'd post the RFP, that's step 4. We'd get the bids, and during that second year, we would examine the bids, and you all would decide whether you want to pursue it. So what I'm looking for tonight is a vote of whether, or a straw poll or something, of whether you would like us to bring the resolution to the board next month, where you would vote yes or no.
I got a question for Alderman Prince, being he's a senior member on the board here. I guess I'm right behind him. How many times have we debated this?
This will be our 3rd time since I've been on the board.
And the results?
It failed each time for the same reasons. The last time we were supposed to try to limit the size of the trucks, and Happy was going to work on it, but we don't have a way to enforce that, so.
We didn't have.
I will say, I might not have as many years, but I think I'm close to as many years. And we did approve to move forward before, so it hasn't failed every time. We've had a time where it has moved forward.
And it didn't go anywhere after that.
And
We didn't have new streets either.
Well, as a new board, and as far as I'm concerned, I want to go forward with it.
I would like to move forward with it as well.
I would like to move forward with it as well.
I want to move forward with it.
That's 4.
I think that's enough to move forward with an ordinance. Or would this be a resolution?
This would be,
a resolution.
it'd be a resolution. I mean, I can bring the resolution to the next meeting, and then you'd have to have a motion, a second, and a vote.
I think that's what we're looking for, and, you know.
I'm still a no.
I mean, this is a long, drawn-out process. It's not going to happen right now. There's no hurt in moving forward with it and just see where it goes. If we don't like it, then we don't like it in the end.
So, there's another question, I'm sorry.
So, this may be very blunt, and I apologize if it is. What do you have to lose?
That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
So, okay. Resolution?
Yes, please.
I agree. Resolution.
Okay. Let's do it then.
All right.
So I assume the people that didn't want to go with it are no votes?
We'll find out next meeting.
We're not,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that, anybody else got any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mike, thank you also.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Simon.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening.
Yes, you too.
Nobody wants to say for your capital?
And sir,
All right.
Okay. Thank you all for that discussion. That was really good. I would like to pay any one of those monthly amounts. It's quite a bit less than my current one.
We're increasing competition.
In fact, I added up all the monthly amounts, and it's barely a little bit more than what I pay a quarter. So that's pretty good. Yep.
So negotiate your rate then. You have that power.
Yeah. Maybe I need to have Mr. Sizemore negotiate more. Yeah, sounds like I don't have as many accolades as he does.
I'm $29.17 a month. It's a little, but I got great service.
Yeah.
You got what?
Great service.
I mean, you guys.
I forget to put it out, they go and get it
There we go.
and put it back.
Who is it?
Every time I
Top tier.
But they did tell us before we couldn't limit the size.
Well, I've tried the smaller ones, and
Well, you don't
Waste
know
Management
what's
keeps
gonna go.
buying up the smaller ones, so then I end up stuck with Waste Management.
We gotta go down the road and figure it
I
out.
like paying
then
one time, 350
You got
bucks.
the trash truck going down getting trash.
Don't have to worry
You got
about
a
it.
recycle truck coming down getting trash.
How do you know who has
And I'll
it?
pay 4 or 5
We have
bucks.
You don't know.
Just so I can say I lived
You have to
there.
go down the road and figure it out.
There's a lot of ways, you're right.
Hey, 3 or 4 years in advance.
I'll admit when I'm wrong.
Okay. I think, I know Alderman Steiger's grabbing a glass of water. I am going to move us along, though. If everybody's okay, we're going to move along to work session agenda item number 2. This is a review of the 5-year capital plan. You want to?
Thank you. So at your seat, you also have this document. It was included in the packet. It's for you to take and examine, look over. We're not approving anything that's on here tonight. What I'm looking for as we do the budget process is that we also approve a capital plan, which is basically kind of like a comprehensive plan. We're saying these are the things that we need over the next 5 years. These are the things we'll try to budget for over the next 5 years. But not unlike a comprehensive plan, things change. Things get added, things get taken off. But this gives staff guidance on what we are looking to spend on capital. I do want to point out that not every single item on here is a capital item. Some of these are like 4 and 5 year contracts that we have for tasers, or some of it is actually planning for debt service so that you know where some of the larger sums of money are going. But I wanted to get it in your hands, let you know what it is, let you know I'd like to adopt it as part of the budget process, and just have you ask any questions you have, whether they be tonight or over the next month as we get into the budget approval.
I think it covers a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
A good plan.
Thank you. That's staff put that together, not just me.
Good job, staff.
Everybody kind of know their marching orders with that then? Okay. All right. So get a review of that as we enter budget season here. Lots to look over. Okay. On to agenda item 3. And this is regarding real estate. And there is an option to close this.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to move into closed session. Sue, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs.
Yes.
Alderman Zaidi.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Newey.
Yes.
Alderman Eidman. Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
And motion carries.
Good for a roll call. Okay, back out of closed session now. Anything else to discuss at this time?
Nope.
Already had enough? Cool. All right, we will adjourn.
Oh, 2 hours.